The breakdown. The check engine light had been blinking for the last 30 miles, but Michael Chan figured he could make it home. He always did. 23 years of driving, never once stranded. Tonight would be no different. He was wrong. The engine cough started around mile marker 44, somewhere between the town of Ashwood and absolutely nowhere. Route 44 was one of those forgotten stretches of asphalt that even GPS seemed reluctant to acknowledge, a winding two-lane road that cut through the Blackwood forest like a scar. No streetlights, no gas stations, no cell service, just trees pressed so close to the road that their branches formed a tunnel overhead, blocking out the moon. Michael had taken this route 100 times. It shaved 20 minutes off his commute from the accounting firm, and after pulling a 12-hour shift, those 20 minutes meant everything. But tonight, as the temperature gauge climbed into the red and the engine's cough became a death rattle, those 20 minutes felt like a death sentence. The car lurched, sputtered, died. He coasted to the shoulder, gravel crunching under the tires as the vehicle rolled to a stop. The headlights flickered once, twice, then stabilized, casting two pale beams into the absolute darkness ahead. Michael sat there for a moment, hands still gripping the steering wheel, listening to the tick, tick, tick of the cooling engine. "Okay," he said aloud, because sometimes hearing your own voice makes you feel less alone. "Okay, this is fine. This is totally fine." It wasn't fine. He pulled out his phone. No signal. Of course not. He hadn't had a signal for the last 15 miles. The screen's glow seemed obscenely bright in the darkness, making everything beyond the windshield even blacker by comparison. Michael tried the engine. It turned over weakly, whining like a dying animal, but wouldn't catch. He tried again. Nothing. The third time, even the whine was gone. The battery was dying. He had maybe 10 minutes of headlight left, 15 if he was lucky. Then it would just be him and the forest and the dark. Michael pulled his coat tighter and stepped out of the car. The cold hit him immediately. Not just cold, but that specific October chill that seeps into your bones and settles there. His breath clouded in front of his face. The only sound was the wind moving through the trees, making them creak and groan like old ships at sea. He popped the hood more out of obligation than hope. Michael knew exactly nothing about car engines beyond where to put the windshield wiper fluid. He stood there anyway, staring at the mechanical guts of his Honda Accord as if they might spontaneously explain themselves. That's when he heard it. A sound, faint, coming from somewhere down the road, back the way he'd come. Footsteps. Michael's head snapped up. He squinted into the darkness beyond his taillights, but saw nothing, just the road disappearing into shadow, swallowed by the forest. The footsteps continued, steady, rhythmic, getting closer. "Hello?" Michael called out, his voice smaller than he'd intended. "Hey, I broke down. Do you have a phone?" The footsteps stopped. The silence that followed was worse than the sound. It was complete, total. Even the wind seemed to have died. Michael's heart hammered against his ribs. "Hello?" He tried again. Then he saw her. She stood at the very edge of his taillight's reach, right where the red glow faded into black. A woman, young, maybe mid-20s. She wore a white dress that seemed to catch and hold what little light there was, making her glow softly against the darkness. Her hair hung long and dark around her face, which he couldn't quite make out from this distance. Relief washed over him. Thank God. "Hey, do you live around here? My car died and I don't have any signal." She didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, perfectly still. Michael took a step toward her. "Miss, are you okay?" The woman's head tilted slightly, like a curious dog, but still she said nothing. Something felt wrong. Michael couldn't articulate what exactly, just a feeling, a primal instinct that lived somewhere below conscious thought. Every animal knows when it's being hunted. Every animal knows the smell of a trap. I'm just going to get back in my car, Michael said, taking a slow step backward. I'll wait for a tow truck or something. The woman took a step forward. Michael froze. She'd moved into the light now, and he could see her more clearly. The white dress was old-fashioned, something from decades past, with lace at the collar and cuffs. Her feet were bare, pale against the asphalt. And her face was beautiful and terrible. Porcelain skin, dark eyes, full lips pulled into something that might have been a smile, but wasn't, not really. It was the expression of something that had learned to mimic human emotion, but didn't quite understand it. "What do you want?" Michael whispered. She raised one hand, pointing down the road ahead, past his car, deeper into the forest. No, I'm staying right here." The woman's smile widened, showing too many teeth. She took another step forward, and suddenly she was moving fast, impossibly fast, gliding across the pavement like she was on rails. Michael ran. He didn't think about it, didn't plan it. His body just moved, pure survival instinct overriding everything else. He ran down the road, away from his car, away from the woman in white, his dress shoes slapping against the asphalt. Behind him, he heard laughter, high and cold and not quite human. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he kept running into the dark, following the road as it curved deeper into the blackwood forest. The trees seemed to close in around him, branches reaching out like grasping fingers. He risked a glance back. She was right behind him. Not running, walking, that same steady, rhythmic pace, but somehow, impossibly, she was keeping up with him, maybe even gaining. Her white dress flowed around her as if caught in a wind that didn't exist. Michael's foot caught on something, a crack in the road, a branch, and he went down hard, hands scraping against gravel. Pain exploded in his palms and knees, but he forced himself up, forced himself to keep moving. The road curved sharply ahead. Michael took the turn too fast and stumbled off the shoulder, crashing through underbrush. Branches whipped at his face, roots grabbed at his feet. He could hear his own panicked breathing, could taste blood where he'd bitten his tongue. Then, suddenly, impossibly, there were lights. A building emerged from the trees. A small church, white painted wood gone gray with age, its steeple crooked and leaning. Warm light glowed from the windows. Michael's relief was so intense it was almost painful. He ran to the door and pounded on it with both fists. "Help! Please! Someone help me!" The door opened. An old man stood there, wearing a priest's collar and a concerned expression. He was 70-ish, with white hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "My son, what's wrong?" "There's a woman. She's chasing me. Please, let me in." The priest stepped aside, and Michael practically fell through the doorway. He spun around, expecting to see her there, but the road beyond was empty, just darkness and trees. "Lock it," I gasped. "Please, lock the door." The priest closed the door calmly and turned a heavy iron deadbolt. "You're safe now. Catch your breath." Michael collapsed onto a wooden pew, his whole body shaking. The church was small, maybe 10 rows of pews, an altar at the front, candles flickering in wall sconces. It smelled of old wood and candle wax, and something else, something faint and sweet that Michael couldn't quite place. "What happened?" the priest asked, sitting beside him. Michael told him everything, the breakdown, the woman, the chase. As he spoke, he became aware of how insane it all sounded. A woman in white who moved impossibly fast, laughter in the dark. But the priest just listened, nodding occasionally, his expression grave. "You've seen her," the priest said when Michael finished. It wasn't a question. "You know about her?" Route 44 has a history, especially this stretch, especially at night. The priest stood and walked to one of the windows, peering into the darkness.
Her name was Elizabeth Marsh. She died on this road in 1952. Car accident. She was supposed to get married the next day. Michael felt ice settle in his stomach. Is this a joke? I wish it were. The priest turned back to face him. She appears to drivers who break down on this road, always at night, always alone. Those who run from her, sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. What happens if they don't? The priest was quiet for a long moment. They become part of the road. We find their cars, but never the drivers. It's been happening for 70 years. Michael stood up, anger flashing through his fear. That's insane. Ghosts aren't real. She was just some crazy person in a dress, and I panicked. Look at your phone, the priest said quietly. Michael pulled out his phone. The time read 11:47 p.m., but something was wrong. The date was wrong. According to his phone, it was October 23rd, 1952. No, that's just a glitch. The battery's dying. It scrambled the lights went out. At all once, every candle in the church extinguished itself. The darkness was absolute, suffocating. Michael couldn't see his own hand in front of his face. "Father?" he called out. "Father, where are you?" No answer. Then, from somewhere in the darkness, he heard it. Footsteps. That same steady, rhythmic pace, coming from inside the church. Michael fumbled for his phone, hands shaking so badly he almost dropped it. The screen cast a weak blue glow. He swept it around the church. Empty pews, empty altar, no sign of the priest. The footsteps were getting closer. Michael ran for the door, grabbed the handle, pulled. It wouldn't budge. The deadbolt was locked from the inside, but when he reached for it, his fingers passed through it like it wasn't there, like it had never been there. No. A hand touched his shoulder. Michael spun around, phone light swinging wildly. The woman in white stood inches from him, her face finally fully visible in the harsh glow of his screen. She was beautiful. She was horrible. Her skin was too pale, her eyes too dark, her smile too wide. But it was the sadness in her expression that broke something in Michael, a grief so profound it seemed to radiate from her like cold. "Please," Michael whispered. "Please, I have a daughter. She's 6. She needs me." The woman's smile faltered. For just a moment, something human flickered across her face. Then she opened her mouth, and instead of words, a sound came out. The screech of tearing metal, the scream of brakes, the thunder of impact, the sound of Elizabeth Marsh dying on Route 44 70 years ago, trapped forever in that single, horrible moment. Michael's scream joined hers. He woke up behind the wheel of his car. The engine was running. The clock on the dashboard read 11:32 p.m. His hands were on the steering wheel, knuckles white. I gasped, jerking upright. Just a dream. It had been a dream, a stress-induced nightmare from working too hard, sleeping too little. His heart was racing, but he was okay. He was in his car. He was fine. Then he looked in the rearview mirror. She sat in the back seat, her white dress glowing softly in the darkness. Michael opened his mouth to scream, but she was already reaching forward, her cold hand wrapping around his throat. The car swerved. Michael grabbed for the wheel, but his hands wouldn't respond. The trees rushed past, faster and faster. He could see the curve ahead, the sharp turn he'd taken too fast in his dream. Not a dream. The car left the road. For a moment, Michael was weightless, floating, and in that moment he saw everything. The speedometer reading 85, the trees reaching out like arms, the woman in white watching him with those sad, dark eyes. Impact. The world exploded into metal and glass and pain. Michael felt his ribs crack, felt something hot and wet spreading across his lap. The steering wheel pinned him in place. He couldn't breathe, couldn't move. In the back seat, Elizabeth Marsh smiled. Then everything went dark. He woke up behind the wheel of his car. The engine was running. The clock on the dashboard read 11:32 p.m. No, not again. But it was again. He could feel the weight of her presence before he even looked in the mirror. When he did, there she was, watching him with those bottomless eyes. This time, Michael didn't try to run. He turned to face her. "Why?" he asked. "Why are you doing this?" Elizabeth tilted her head. When she spoke, her voice was like wind through empty rooms. "Because I was alone. Because everyone left me. Because no one stopped. I would have stopped. If I'd seen you, if you'd been broken down on the road, I would have stopped." "Would you?" The sadness in her voice could have broken the world. "Everyone says that. No one does. Let me prove it. Let me go, and I swear on my daughter's life, I'll come back. I'll find out what happened to you. I'll make sure people remember." Elizabeth was quiet for a long time. Then, "You'll die again first. That's the rule. You have to understand what it feels like to be alone, to have everyone pass by, to die in the dark." Michael felt tears streaming down his face. How many times? Until sunrise. That's always been the rule. The clock read 11:32 p.m. Sunrise was hours away. Then let's get it over with. Michael pressed the accelerator.
The third death was the worst. Maybe because Michael knew it was coming. Maybe because he had time to think about his daughter, about never seeing her again, about her growing up without him. The impact was just as violent, the pain just as intense. But this time, as the darkness closed in, Michael felt Elizabeth Marsh's hand in his. Cold, so cold, and sad, so unbearably sad. He woke up behind the wheel of his car, 11:32 p.m. But this time, something was different. Elizabeth wasn't in the back seat. She stood in the road ahead, illuminated by his headlights. Michael got out of the car slowly, hands raised. "I understand now," he said, "what it feels like to be helpless, to be alone." Elizabeth stepped forward. Up close, he could see that she wasn't solid, not quite. She flickered slightly, like a candle flame. "3 times," she said. "You died 3 times. That's more than most. Most only make it through 1 before they break completely. What happens now? Now you choose. You can leave. The road will release you. You'll wake up in your car and it will start and you can go home to your daughter." She paused. "Or you can stay. You can keep me company, just until sunrise. No one's ever stayed before." Michael looked at his car, engine still running, headlights cutting through the dark. He thought about his daughter, about the mess of breakfast dishes still in his sink, about the spreadsheets waiting for him at work. Then he looked at Elizabeth Marsh, at the loneliness carved into her translucent features, at the weight of 70 years of isolation pressing down on her like physical force. He sat down in the middle of the road. "Tell me about your wedding," Michael said. "Tell me about the day you were supposed to have." Elizabeth stared at him. For a moment, she looked almost shocked, if ghosts could be shocked. Then, slowly, she sat down across from him, and she talked. She told him about her fiancé, Thomas, who worked at the lumber mill, about the dress her mother had sewn by hand, about the church in town that was supposed to be full of flowers, about the small house they'd saved up for, the one with the blue shutters and the garden out back. She told him about driving alone that night, October 23rd, 1952, coming home from her bachelorette party, just her and 3 girlfriends having pie at the diner, about the deer that jumped into the road, about the curve she didn't make, about lying there in the wreckage, watching the taillights of passing cars disappear into the distance, about how no one stopped, not for hours, not until morning, when it was too late. Michael listened. He didn't interrupt, didn't look at his watch, just listened as Elizabeth Marsh talked about the life she didn't get to have, about the decades of anger and loneliness that had twisted her into something that hurt others the way she'd been hurt. "I didn't mean to. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just wanted someone to stop, to see me, to not leave me alone in the dark. I see you, and I'm not leaving." The eastern horizon was starting to pale, not quite dawn, but getting close. Elizabeth looked up at the sky, something like fear crossing her face. "You should go. Before what? Before I can't let you." But Michael didn't move. He stayed there in the middle of Route 44, sitting across from the ghost of Elizabeth Marsh, and he kept talking. He told her about his daughter, about his life, about all the small, mundane things that make up a human existence. And Elizabeth listened. The sky grew lighter. Pink bled into the darkness. Birds began to sing. Elizabeth started to fade. "Will it hurt?" asked Elizabeth, her voice barely a whisper now. "I don't know," Michael said honestly, "but you won't be alone." She smiled then, a real smile, with warmth and gratitude, and something that might have been peace. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for stopping." The sun broke over the horizon, golden light spilling across Route 44. Elizabeth Marsh disappeared. Michael Chen woke up behind the wheel of his car. The engine was dead. The clock read 6:47 a.m. Morning light streamed through the windshield. His phone buzzed. Signal restored. 17 missed calls from his daughter's mother. 3 messages from his boss. A voicemail from AAA saying they'd received his emergency beacon and a truck was on the way. He sat there for a moment, looking at the empty road ahead. No sign of Elizabeth, no sign of the church, no sign that any of it had happened, except for the bone-deep exhaustion and the scrapes on his palms that definitely weren't there yesterday. On the shoulder across from him, there was a small white cross, half hidden by weeds, the kind that marks where someone died. Michael got up and walked over to it. The name on the cross was weathered but still readable. Elizabeth Marsh, 1927-1952. Below it, someone had carved, "She stopped." Michael stood there for a long time, watching the sunrise paint the forest gold and amber. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. "Hey, Sarah? Yeah, I'm okay. Car broke down, but I'm fine. Listen, when I get home, I want to tell you a story about a woman who needed someone to stop, and about how sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just sit with someone who's alone." He paused, listening to his daughter's voice. "Yeah, sweetie, I love you too. I'll be home soon." The tow truck arrived 20 minutes later. As they loaded his Honda onto the flatbed, Michael took a last look at the cross, at the stretch of road that had nearly killed him 3 times over. "You okay, buddy? You look like you've seen a ghost." Something like that. As they drove away, the morning sun warming his face, Michael thought he saw something in the side mirror, just for a moment, just a flicker. A woman in white standing at the edge of the road, waving goodbye. But when he looked back, there was nothing there. Just Route 44, stretching empty and quiet through the Blackwood forest, waiting for the next breakdown, the next driver, the next chance to not be alone. Michael never took Route 44 again, but every October 23rd, he drove past it, past the entrance, past the place where his Honda had died, and he left flowers at the little white cross, because Elizabeth Marsh had stopped, and so had he.